And action.
Welcome to Filmmakers Focus. I'm Doc Kennedy. Today's focus is freelance versus business. I had the opportunity to speak with Niel Guilarte of Wild Style Media, based out of Tampa Bay, Florida, and he's also the host of the hit podcast All Things Post. And the reason that we're talking about freelance versus business is I know there's a lot of you out there that you're either in a job and you're looking to get into freelance, or you're a freelancer that's considering going into business and actually incorporating yourself. So Niel and I had the opportunity to talk about both because I do freelance and he's also done freelance, and he's gone into business for himself with incorporating as Wild Style Media. So before we jump into that, I just want to give a quick plug to our social media outlets. Join us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Get in the conversation. On Facebook, we have an open group, and we also have a page, Twitter and Instagram. Lots of fun stuff going on. I want you guys to be involved in the conversation. Love hearing what you got going on. Niel and I both feel strongly that this is not an individual effort. What we're doing is very team-oriented. And it's not stealing business. It's not trying to take somebody else's gig. It's not trying to steal their ideas. You know, it's just working together. Just reach out and be that source that'll just help ignite this awesome field that we're in. So without further ado, here is my conversation with Niel Guilarte. Niel Guilarte, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
This is really exciting for me, Niel. I want to give you a quick shout out. You've been really very instrumental in helping me get Filmmakers Focus started and helping me just get the confidence to even make the podcast happen.
Oh,
Let's talk.
Shucks, man.
Well, I am giving you the credit.
No, man, I think you already had the momentum. I'm just glad I could do any little thing to help you out, to keep you out there.
Well, those little things, they mean a lot to people, you know, and you got some awesome stuff going with All Things Post. Can you share with us just a little bit about that, and then we'll talk a little bit about your backstory?
Yeah, well, first off, just congratulations on launching your podcast. That's always one of the hardest things when I'm out there talking to people on podcast world, to try to get them to launch and to not be afraid. That's a big hurdle, so congratulations. All Things Post is it's my podcast. It's all about post-production. We focus a lot on television, film, music production, graphic design, just any magician that does behind the scenes work. I want to talk to them, right? And it launched on August 1st of last year, just before the podcast movement out in Dallas. And, it was a slow launch. It didn't, come out of the gate swinging like I thought it would. I think post-production people just tend to not want to share a lot, and I'm trying to change that dynamic with my show. And so really it was birthed from the All Things Post Facebook group. It's a closed Facebook group that I kind of built to have people help one another. And every Friday we do like a screen grab Friday where they can share a screen grab, and then everybody gets to sort of see what everybody's working on. So I'm really excited. It's grown so much. It's starting to I'm starting to get some really quality guests and some bigger name guests so that people can get a little bit bigger perspective of like the film world. And now I'm here talking to you. So obviously without that podcast, you and I wouldn't even be talking. So it's done some great things for me. And I'm so excited to be, the voice of All Things Post.
I love it. I absolutely love the show. I've gotten a ton out of it. And I love your Facebook group. There's so much great interaction. I really feel like there is good interaction between everybody. And I do actually look forward to Screen Grab Friday. So.
Yeah, you even won a prize for it.
That's so true, yeah. And I love that you're really trying to engage people through that. I say people always love a public pat on the back. And
absolutely.
If anything that we can do to give that.
Yeah, I mean, even you, like Filmmaker Focus, that's exactly what you're getting ready to do. And I think you're going to notice right away that they do appreciate it. Because the whole reason I started All Things Post is because I felt like when you watch the movie credits, you only read director, actor, and then as that scroll goes on, you pay less and less attention, when really the best people are down in the animation section and the sound design section. And so I kind of wanted to put a spotlight and a microphone on everybody else in the credits. It's sort of my angle. And they really want the credit. If you listen to my very last show, I interviewed a composer named Danny Donati, and one of the first things he says is, we do all the sound, but we don't even get invited to the rap parties.
Yeah.
And that really struck me as unique, And so it's stuff like that they just want a little bit of credit. They want to feel like they're part of the movie,
Yeah.
part of the project. So that's what I'm hoping to bring.
That's awesome. Being on my side where I'm doing it all, I have developed that sense of just appreciation for everything that goes in and everybody that's on set. I can't imagine not inviting everybody to a post party,
Yeah, I know, right? That blew me away when he told me that. I was like, wow, I feel like crap. I'm gonna make sure I invite everyone now.
Yeah, it's a great learning piece there. So,
Yeah.
Niel, I love to ask people right off the bat, what is your favorite movie and why?
Okay. I have one that I'm probably a little embarrassed to say. And then I have the one that I should say so the boys respect me, right? So like I should say Rocky, right? But believe it or not, I'm going to kind of, okay. My favorite movie, and I don't say of all time, but just sort of generationally, like, growing up, was Jerry Maguire.
Oh, okay.
And the reason isn't because I love Tom Cruise. When Jerry Maguire came out, I had just left my full-time job and I had just started my company. And that movie was all about leaving the big guy and going out on your own with your one talented football player and building your business from the ground up and blah, blah, blah. And I guess because I was going through that exactly when that movie came out, I just related to it like crazy. Yeah. I mean, obviously, in the history of all time, Godfather, Rocky, all these phenomenal movies come up. But I think as far as actually impacting me, motivating me and making me feel like, damn, that's me. Yeah. I've probably seen Jerry Maguire no less than 1,000 times. So yeah, it's one of my favorite movies.
That's awesome. Take us back to how you got started in this biz.
God.
What that looked like coming to where you are now.
It's funny. We got to go way back to like 1988, 87, when I was about 13 or 14 living in California. I had friends that were extras in Charles in Charge and Facts of Life. And
Fun.
I would go there and watch them. And then my dad took me to see the Knight Rider tour, behind the scenes of Knight Rider when I was a kid. And just seeing the reality of the behind the scenes, that was like my initial, bug getting bit. Then I moved to Florida. And in 1991, our high school had a contest when Universal Studios opened up to be like a young filmmaker. So our class won. And part of our prize was to work on the Superboy television show at the time being shot in Orlando, as well as Sequest. So working on those solidified it for me because I got to work on real sets with real people. And once we won that, I was really motivated. And then I opened up my company, literally 17 years old, still in high school. I opened up an office in Florida, in Altamont Springs, Florida. And before I graduated, I was already had a very small office shooting weddings and just doing anything that I can get my camera attached to. And I grew from there. I've been completely self-taught. I actually went to UCF for a year or two in film, and I ended up leaving and just did it myself. Ended up not going the education route.
So can you share with us just a little bit about that? Like, I'm sure you've worked with plenty of people that have gone to school. You went part way, and you've worked with people that have not gone to school at all. What are the advantages, disadvantages?
Well, nothing wrong with the school route. You know what? God bless them for having them. Yeah. Some people need that level of motivation and training. I'm that guy that when I see something, I go into carnivore mode. I'm going to get it by the jugular and I'm going to do it. And when I decided to do filmmaking and TV, I just couldn't wait another 3 years. You know what I'm trying to say? To get a piece of paper. So I moved to California, and I believe learning by doing. And I started working on any set that I could for free. Now, I have nothing against organized education. As a matter of fact, I speak frequently now here at Sanford Brown College in Tampa and other schools, and I promote for them to go to school because today's a little different. I think I was catching the end of the days when you could do it my way. I think today you really need that knowledge because of the technology changing every 6 months.
Yeah.
I just, my personal opinion is that I did it for the passion of storytelling, not to make money. So for me, I just wanted to do it and get involved now. I figured I could learn it along the way. And I've learned from some incredible people. I do, however, value and appreciate some of these people that have a little more technical expertise coming out of school, like the editing and all that good stuff. I had to learn that the hard way. So I say they're both great, and you have to find the one that works for the type of person you are. And this way just worked for me. And I've literally been, a one-man band forever, even until recently. I'm just now starting to build the business that I've always wanted to have.
Yeah. So the focus I wanted to get in on is freelance versus business. And
Yeah.
you ran freelance for how
Oh
many
yeah.
years?
God, I did freelance for, let me see, at least 15 to almost 16 years
Yeah.
before I decided to incorporate and become a business. But I also was an executive in businesses like AT&T and T and Sprint while I was freelancing.
Okay. So you had the job on the side.
I always had the job on the side, but when I moved to Orlando, I started to look for jobs in our industry, right? So like
Hmm.
I worked for the police department in video. I tried to work at TV stations, anywhere I could get access to equipment because I was self-taught. So I needed to learn on that gear, right? But then I worked my way up, and I became the producer for the mayor of Orlando, Buddy Dyer. I was his producer from 2007 or six ish until just recently, April of 2013, when I quit to start my company 100% full time, no side job. And
Wow.
I've been an entrepreneur now since April of 2013. So I'm about to hit my 2 year mark, completely solo, no safety net.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
So
scary.
a little bit, but can you share with us about taking that leap from
Oh,
freelance to starting Wild Style Media?
yeah, you know what, man? Making that leap was, I made it at a bad time. Okay, again, I'm going to tell you this is how I work. I think I'm one of those guys that just, I don't always stop to pre plan like I should, but I stayed as long as I could in the corporate world until literally I was just getting burnt out from doing both.
Yeah.
And creatively, I was feeling like I was just kind of doing the same thing every day. And so what I did and what I try to tell people to do is build your clientele until the point that your side job can literally replace not all of your income, but enough to pay your bills, right? Because I had a very good job. I had a very good paying job. I had no reason that I needed to leave as far as financially sake. But once I built my side business to the point that I wasn't sleeping at night because I was doing both, that's when I decided to make the jump. Now, what I didn't realize was my wife would get a job in Tampa where I had never been before. I've been in Orlando since 1990s.
Okay.
So I basically started my company and moved to a new city where I have no resources instead of being in the city where I have every resource.
Yeah.
So it was even more of an uphill climb because now I'm in a new city, new business, and no resources. So I ended up being in Orlando all the time because that's where my client base was. And on top of that, then we got pregnant 4 months into launching my company.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
starting a company with no babies hard enough as it is. Yeah. So once you add in being a new dad to that mix
Yeah.
and the time that it takes away from your business to be a good dad, I sometimes don't know how I've done it. But the biggest thing about making the jump was you have to believe you can make the jump before you make the jump. Fear is designed to stop you from making the jump. It's what keeps us all working in our day job, and it's what makes the wheel go round. I think entrepreneurs have to be willing to make the jump, knowing they may crash, burn, fall, hit the ground, dust themselves off, keep working their day job just so they could jump again. That's why I think a lot of people don't make it because they make the jump and they're so paralyzed that as they jump, they're already falling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my biggest advice to people is find your passion, build a platform like you're doing right now. You have a video business, you're building a podcast, which is now your outreach. Save up a couple of months of your bills and make that leap. Invest in yourself, and you can't look down or back. There's only one direction for entrepreneurs, and that's forward. And I think when you're willing to do that, the lack of fear is what's going to make it so that when I landed and I got to Tampa, I got to work so fast.
Yeah.
There was no more big check coming next Friday, and I didn't want to pressure my wife. So as you can see, a ton of pressure. So that's what I tell people out there. If you're getting ready to go the entrepreneur way, go to church, say a prayer, and then just make that leap of faith. If you have real friends, real true business clients, and people that love you, you will make it. You can and will make it across the jump.
What are some of the pros and cons that you've seen from both doing freelance and having your business and how you've made them come together?
Well, freelance, it's all about you. There's a lot less risk, but it's also bad. So I think when I was a freelancer, what I liked was the lack of responsibility. So I would get hired to shoot a film or a TV show, and I just got to show up, shoot it, turn in the card, and the editor takes it from there. I have no accountability,
Yeah.
other than to do a great job. Um, when I wanted to start being the owner of the production company, well, now I'm inheriting the making the client happy, hiring the right people, negotiating their pay rates, covering food, craft services, travel. All these things suddenly become your problem. Accounting, marketing, sales. You see how that list just got really big?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what's funny is I would never go back. I love it, even though it's a ton of responsibility. Now, when productions go well, I give myself a big pat on the shoulder and go, wow, I had a big stake in this. There's a different level of gratification. And also, I take a lot of pride in that now I hire freelancers and I help them have a living. And it motivates me to sell bigger and bigger so that I can provide for more people in the industry and provide jobs. But I miss freelance in the sense of the lack of responsibility and just being able to be more creative and less responsible. So that's kind of the biggest difference.
Yeah. And right now I'm freelance. And for what you just said is exactly why it works for me right now, is I do have that, I wouldn't really call it necessarily a lack of responsibility because I'm doing a lot of full projects all the way through, but it's not as heavy a burden, and I can do stuff like Filmmakers Focus. I can do other projects that, I can spend time writing and doing this other stuff that I don't feel like I could have the time to invest if I was really going all in and building a business the way that you have.
And you know what, though, Doc? We talked about this offline. I mean, and I think I told you my advice to you was let it become and build itself as a business organically. Let it be that you're freelancing to the point that you feel you need to drive the whole cart because it would be better off if you did. So, and I see it's funny, I'm watching you now that I'm paying attention to you. So now I'm watching you. I'm watching you sort of build, and very similar to the way I built, where you're making the pieces. Yep. You're telling people I'm not a race car yet.
Yep.
But I see you putting racing wheels on. Why do you need racing wheels if you're not a race car, right? So you're building it slow and you're testing the waters and finding that comfort level. I think what's going to happen is, hopefully, and this is what I hope for you, is that it'll grow to the point where you feel like you need to incorporate and become a business to A, better protect your resources and the projects you're working on, and B, to be a provider and not just be a service-based person. You can actually provide the services, because as a freelancer, you're probably meeting other freelancers, so you're going to have a great talent pool, and that's hopefully what's going to happen, and that's kind of how I did it organically.
That's awesome. I love that. and it's an honor for me to know that you're following. That's awesome.
Oh, I am. Actually, what's funny though? Not a lot of people. I apologize. I'm talking a lot. I just have lots to say. I get tired of following people, and I get excited about what their dream is. I follow them online, then it fizzles and disappears. And I've always believed that you shouldn't want your dream. I shouldn't want your dream more than you do.
Yeah.
So when I follow, I'm real selective about who I follow and pay attention to, and it's not because I'm special by any means. It's just simply that I only have so many hours in the day as a business person that I can even follow anybody.
Sure. And
I try to follow people that are doing things that either inspire me or remind me of my journey, or they're doing something new and unique. And that's kind of why I'm following you, in the sense of keeping an eye on your growth, because I see that you're doing something cool. You're on another coast. I like to see what your challenges are, what your victories are. And so I'm wishing you a lot of success, man. And I appreciate you having me on your show.
Thanks, Neil. I really appreciate that. So I obviously had to make a jump from having a job to freelance, and you did as well. And I think that there's a lot of people listening that are in that boat as well. They haven't had that opportunity to really feel like they're confident enough in their work to be able to even consider freelancing as an option. What do you say to that person as they're the ones that have their toe in the water, so to speak, and they want to take that step, but just don't have that confidence in what they're done so far?
There's a couple layers, and I'm going to start by telling you I'm a very faith-based person. So I believe that the very first thing you need to do is make sure that whatever faith you have that you've checked in and sort of either prayed about it or discussed it in your mind, right?
Yep.
For me, it was a lot of that. I was like, God, am I ready for this? Am I ready to take this next step? I didn't have that confidence at first. I was always the behind the scenes guy that made everybody else popular and famous. Was I going to be okay being the voice of a podcast? Was I going to be okay being a leader? And what if I had to let somebody go? Would I have the guts to do it? So one, I just believe checking in with whatever faith you have and just kind of getting the support from that angle. Number two, make sure you have a support system, whether it be your parents, your family, your wife, your girlfriend. If they don't believe in it, you're not going to make it, because they're going to quietly and without any harm, they're not going to mean to, but they're going to speak negativity into your life. They're going to kind of doubt that you're going to make it. And it's really hard to climb a mountain when there's people you love sort of telling you to climb back down. The third thing is there is a point where you have to shut the world out and you have to look at yourself and say, why is everybody else okay to have it? Why is it okay for somebody else to have that car, that show, that house? Why can't I have it? That's kind of what happened with me. I started listening to other people and going, I could do this, but why don't I? What am I scared of? And when you take fear out of the equation and you just ask yourself, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? Would I launch the show? If the answer is yes, then just launch the damn show and fear will be dealt with. So that's about my biggest advice. If you're getting ready to make a leap, check in with your faith. Check in with your loved ones, your best friend, whoever your support system is, and really lock yourself in a room and give yourself a good talking to, and realize that you were made perfectly and you are ready to go. And you just got to do it, because the minute you launch, the nerves go away, and now you get to be yourself and you get to enjoy the success that you deserve.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. This last year, since I really stepped out, I left the job a year ago this month, and became full-time freelance. It's been a whirlwind, but it's been an awesome journey and I totally agree with you on all aspects of that. If it wasn't for the people that are encouraging me, man, it would have been so much more difficult, and to have relationships, even like me and you, Neil, where we just come across each other online and we have this opportunity to share similar stories because we understand each other.
Right. And had you not launched, we would never have met. And now literally you can walk blind knowing if I'm ever stuck, I just call Neil and I'm going to get you out of your mess. Because
That's awesome.
That if you don't launch, you'll never meet those people, just like I met you.
Yeah.
I'm not too big to talk to anybody. I learned from people that started their journey yesterday because they have a different perspective. They're launching in a different time. And another thing is too, like, do you remember when you first left your job, your mind was only thinking about what am I going to do Friday payday when there's no check?
Yep.
But did you ever pay attention to when it switched to you don't even think about Fridays anymore because you're generating your own income when you can?
Yeah.
And even though they're far and spread apart, you don't even worry about it. You just found out how to make do and how to tuck away like a squirrel for that Friday night pizza. But you literally only focus now on generating income, not on living for a Friday. So you stopped being the dog that was being fed on the floor wagging your tail, and you became the wolf that hunts its food. And once you know how to do that, you never got to be a slave to a job again. That doesn't mean you won't go back into the workforce or that you shouldn't. It just means that even if you did go back, you would be like a leader. You wouldn't go back as just a lemming. Yeah, once you're a wolf, buddy. You don't go back to being a puppy no more. And that's why when we go back to the workforce, now they got to put us in management because we can't sit in a cubicle anymore.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. I love that.
So, yeah. Damn, I should have recorded that and put it on my own dang show.
Well, I'm glad that we got it.
Man.
Yeah, I know. That was good. Yeah. So,
write that down.
well, where do you see Wild Style Media being in 5 years?
Oh man, right now I'm seeing it on Filmmaker Focus, but let me see. My real answer to that is I would really love to be a self-sufficient high-end media provider. I'd like to open up a nice facility with a couple of edit bays. I want to open up like a recording studio / podcast studio for people can come and work. And I would like to actually grow the brand way beyond just the service of video production. I want my podcast to be nationwide. I'd love to be speaking around the country as an expert in my field, motivating others to make the jump. I'm coming out with some T-shirts that are custom, that are for editors, and and it's just fun things for them to wear, and just really trying to develop my brand as not just a video company, but sort of like a motivational leader for all the little production companies that don't have a voice out there. So I'm just hoping they'll latch on to me, and we can grow together.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love your vision for it, and you have to have that vision because, you know, part of that vision had to have been when you went from freelance to starting Wild Style Media.
Yeah, because you know what? It's so easy. If I would have just opened it as a media company and we do weddings, I could have done that limited vision. I opened it more like I want to be Niel Guilarte, um, producer, writer, director, expert in my field, holding the flag for all the little guys with no voice. And I'm going to develop a show that lets them share, a show that lets them talk, shirts that let them express themselves when they don't speak. I'm trying to develop a way to communicate to the corporate people our creative vision
That's awesome.
collectively.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm hoping that in 5 years, I'll build that to a place where, I could live from it and comfortably live from it. And then I could sort of support others, maybe get involved in their projects. And let's say like a Doc Kennedy and fly out to where you are and mentor you and maybe help you with resources to take the next 5 steps. And then when you go and help somebody else. So we can all be selfish. I could tell you in 5 years, I just want to make movies and be rich, but that's not what it's all about. So yeah, that's what I see, man. I want my little girl to grow up and I built a business that she could be proud to own, not a business she wants to sell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it wasn't for people investing in my life, I'm literally built on the back of volunteer time, of people that just poured into me. They were willing to train me. They
That's
gave
awesome.
me that time. And so I love, and that's part of my vision for Filmmakers Focus is to be able to just give a little bit of that back. And that's exactly what you're doing, Niel. And I just applaud you for that.
No, man, thank you very much. I mean, like I said, if I didn't have a Doc Kennedy to interview me or to support my show, I'd just be another guy on the web, asking for stuff. So it takes people like you. And look, you weren't just a quote unquote fan of our show. You turned around and did your own thing show. Essentially, we're competitors, but we're not because now we're peers, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm going to promote your show. You're going to promote my show. And it's not even about the dumb shows. It's about maybe one day we'll partner to help a young filmmaker with our combined resources. You just never know. So it's really about don't just have a podcast. Don't just have a production company. Be a force in the industry because the industry's changing.
Yeah.
And we're determining what it changes into. We just don't think we are, but we do. Just ask Blockbuster how they feel about not paying attention to Netflix. So, but yeah, man, like I said, it's a big vision, and I go to church every Sunday and ask God to help me be able to carry through that vision. And I just I'm blessed, man. I feel even so honored to be on every show that I've been blessed to be a part of because none of you have to have me on. You could ask anybody else to be a guest. So I'm super happy and just stoked every time I do an interview. And then I promote you guys big because I want you guys to grow.
Well, Niel, this has just been great. And I'm hoping that you'll consider coming back on down the road.
Oh, yeah. We'll do it in Spanish next time.
That might throw me off.
Well, listen, man, I know we're getting ready to wrap up. If I could just say one last thought for your audience. I applaud you, Doc, for building what you're building and for building it whatever way you feel like it. I think that my biggest message I'd like to send to your listeners is to do things your way. Let's stop regurgitating and copying what everybody else did, what your favorite filmmaker did. Have your own thoughts, question everything. And most importantly, take your camera out and just have fun.
Yeah.
And when you cut, just have fun. And you'll be able to grow your dream. And if you're out there and you're getting ready to make that jump, Doc and I can both tell you there's nothing better than when you land on the other side. You shed all that weight and all that guilt and all that fear. And when you get up and you realize you don't have crap but yourself, it's like the best feeling on the planet. Because as you walk forward, now you start dressing yourself with your own clothes that you pick. So that's my thought for everybody. I just wish everybody the best, and I invite everybody to check out my show, All Things Post on iTunes, and just wish everybody the best in their endeavors.
Yeah. Well, where else can they get in touch with you, Niel?
I'm kind of I'm out there a lot. You can go to my official website, which is wildstylemedia.net. That's my business. My show is allthingspost.net. And I'm all over Facebook. I'm at Niel Guilarte on Twitter. And honestly, you guys can just hit me up. My email is wildstylemedia@gmail.com.
Fantastic. And we'll have links to that stuff in the show notes.
Or you can just call Doc and say, yo, what's Niel's email?
There you go.
Just now Doc's my friend and he can call me.
Absolutely. I'll link that quick. That's awesome. Well, thanks again, Niel.
No, man, thank you so much. And, man, God bless your show, man.
And cut. That's a wrap.